Have you ever noticed how one toxic person can drain the room the moment they walk in? It's like they carry chaos in their pocket and pass it around, and if you're not careful, you end up holding it. But here's the truth: protecting your peace doesn't come from changing them. It comes from one powerful shift, a shift that takes the control out of their hands and puts it back in yours. Peace is your responsibility. That might sound heavy at first, but it's actually freeing once you understand it. Because the truth is, we live in a world full of people who are going to say things we don't like, do things that upset us, and act in ways that feel unfair. If your peace depends on them changing, you're going to spend your whole life waiting for someone to apologize the right way, waiting for someone to finally treat you the way you deserve, waiting for toxic people to suddenly wake up and realize the damage they cause. And the hard reality is, most of the time, that wait never ends. So what's the alternative? You take ownership of your peace. You decide that it's not up for negotiation. You don't hand it out like a free pass to whoever wants to disrupt it. And that's not selfish, it's survival. Because if you allow everyone else to control your emotional state, you'll always be on edge. You'll always be reacting instead of responding. You'll always be exhausted from fighting battles you didn't even start. Taking responsibility for your peace means recognizing that toxic people will be toxic whether you like it or not. Their behavior isn't a reflection of your worth, it's a reflection of their own unhealed issues. And when you stop trying to fix them, something powerful happens. You reclaim your energy. You stop giving away the best parts of yourself to people who don't value it. You stop replaying conversations in your head at 2 a.m., thinking of all the things you should have said. You stop waiting for closure from people who aren't capable of giving it. It's not about pretending their behavior doesn't hurt. It does. Words cut. Actions sting. But when you understand that peace is your responsibility, you stop letting their actions dictate your reaction. You can acknowledge the pain without becoming it. You can see their chaos without stepping into it. You can feel the pull of their negativity without letting it anchor you down. That's where real strength is, not in controlling them, but in controlling yourself. Not in silencing their voice, but in choosing which voices you allow to echo inside your mind. Not in waiting for them to respect your peace, but in making sure you never abandon it yourself. Shifting the focus inward is one of the hardest but most powerful things you can do when dealing with toxic people. Our natural instinct is to look outward, to analyze what they're doing, why they're acting that way, what they must be thinking, or how we can get them to change. We replay their words in our head, trying to decode hidden meanings. We watch their moods, their patterns, their reactions, as if we can somehow outthink or outmaneuver them. And the more we focus on them, the more control we hand over. They become the center of our emotional world, and that's exactly how we lose ourselves in their chaos. The shift inward means you stop asking, why are they like this? And start asking, what do I need right now? It means you stop wasting energy on fixing someone who isn't interested in being fixed and start investing that energy into protecting your own mental space. Toxic people thrive when your attention is glued to them. They want you tangled up in their storms, defending yourself, proving yourself, explaining yourself. But the moment you bring the focus back to yourself, you take away their power. That focus inward can look like pausing before you respond, checking in with your emotions, noticing if you're feeling triggered, and reminding yourself that not every battle is yours to fight. It can look like asking, what outcome do I want from this conversation? Is engaging with them actually helping me or just fueling their drama? It can even look like silence, because silence is a decision too, and sometimes it's the strongest one you can make. When you turn that lens inward, you begin to realize you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to mirror their disrespect with disrespect of your own. You don't have to match their anger with your anger. You can step back, breathe, and choose responses that serve your peace instead of their dysfunction. And the more you practice this shift, the more you'll see that it's not about controlling them. It never was. It's about anchoring yourself so deeply in your own clarity, your own calm, and your own strength that no matter what storm they bring, you remain steady. Detachment is often misunderstood. People think it means not caring, shutting down, or being cold toward others, but that's not what real detachment is. True detachment is the ability to care about someone without carrying all of their weight on your shoulders. It's the balance of compassion and boundaries, of love and self-respect. It's looking at someone else's chaos and realizing that it doesn't have to become your chaos too. When you're deeply attached to the behavior of toxic people, every little thing they do feels personal. Their mood swings dictate your mood. Their words echo in your head for hours, sometimes days. Their choices leave you drained because you've tied your peace to their actions. And in that place, you're no longer free. You're controlled by them without even realizing it. Detachment is how you get that control back. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop allowing their behavior to control your inner world. Think of detachment as holding something with an open hand instead of a clenched fist. When you grip tightly, you exhaust yourself trying to keep hold of something that was never really yours to control. But when you loosen your grip, you create space. You can still be present. You can still care, but you're not forcing yourself to carry the responsibility of fixing what isn't yours to fix. That space allows you to breathe again. It allows you to see the situation with clear eyes instead of through the blur of constant stress and frustration. Detachment shows up in small, powerful ways. It's the moment you stop over-explaining yourself to someone who doesn't actually want to understand. It's the decision to listen without absorbing their negativity. It's choosing not to chase after their approval when you know they've already decided to disapprove. It's saying, that's their choice, but it doesn't define me. That's the strength of detachment. It protects you from being swept up in every storm someone else creates. When you practice detachment, you begin to separate your peace from their patterns. You stop reacting to every spark they throw your way, and instead you recognize that not every fire needs your attention. You start to see that their behavior belongs to them, and your response belongs to you. Silence is one of the most underrated tools you have when dealing with toxic people. We often feel pressure to respond, to explain, to defend ourselves because silence can feel uncomfortable. It can feel like giving in or like letting the other person win. But the truth is, silence isn't weakness, it's power. It's the decision to not hand over your energy every time someone tries to bait you into an argument. Toxic people thrive on reaction. They want the rise, the spark, the explosion, because once you're reacting, they're in control. They know they've pulled you into their storm. But silence interrupts that pattern. Silence refuses to play by their rules. When you choose silence, you're sending a clear message: I won't invest in this chaos. It doesn't mean you're ignoring the problem. It doesn't mean you're backing down. It means you've recognized that not every comment deserves a response. Not every insult deserves your breath. Not every attack deserves your attention. And the more you practice it, the more you realize that silence can de-escalate situations faster than any argument ever could. Because arguments fuel toxic people. They feed on your words, they twist them, use them, throw them back at you. But silence gives them nothing to work with. Silence also creates space for you. Space to pause, to breathe, to check in with yourself before reacting. It allows you to choose your response on your terms instead of being dragged into theirs. That pause is powerful. It shifts control back into your hands. It's no longer about proving yourself, convincing them, or matching their energy. It's about holding onto your own calm. There's another side to silence, too. It shows strength in moments where words would only make things worse. You don't have to fight to show you're strong. You don't have to explain to show you're right. Sometimes the loudest statement you can make is the one you don't speak. It's the refusal to engage, the quiet that says, I know my worth, and I won't lower myself to this. And over time, silence teaches you something important. You don't always have to attend the battles you're invited to. You can walk away without saying a word, and in that choice, you keep your peace intact. Boundaries often get misunderstood as walls, as if setting them means shutting people out or being harsh. But boundaries aren't about punishment, they're about protection. They're the lines you draw to safeguard your peace, your energy, and your well-being. Toxic people will often make you feel guilty for setting boundaries because boundaries take away their ability to control or manipulate you. They'll accuse you of being selfish, distant, or uncaring. But that's only because your boundaries reveal the truth. They can no longer cross lines that were never theirs to cross in the first place. A boundary isn't about changing someone else's behavior. It's about being clear on what you will and won't allow in your life. You can't stop someone from being disrespectful, but you can decide you won't stay in the conversation when it happens. You can't force someone to treat you with kindness, but you can decide how much access they get to your time, your attention, and your energy. Boundaries don't control other people, they control the space you create for yourself. And that space is what keeps you steady when others try to pull you into chaos. Think of boundaries like the fence around a home. It doesn't mean you hate the neighborhood. It doesn't mean you never open the gate. It simply means you get to decide who enters, when, and how. Without that fence, anyone can walk through your yard, trample over your garden, and take up space that doesn't belong to them. With boundaries, you're still part of the world. You're just protecting what matters most inside your walls. Toxic people don't like fences because it means they can't run freely through your life anymore. They can't dump their negativity on you the way they used to. They can't drain your energy without resistance. But that discomfort isn't your responsibility to solve. Your responsibility is to hold the line calmly and consistently, even when they push back. Boundaries can sound simple. I'm not available for this conversation right now. I need space. If you speak to me that way, I'm going to walk away. Simple doesn't mean easy, though. It takes courage to enforce them, especially when the other person resists. But every time you honor your boundaries, you remind yourself that your peace is worth protecting, and you show others how you expect to be treated. Clarity over conflict is a mindset that shifts the way you communicate with toxic people. Most of the time, when someone pushes our buttons, the instinct is to fire back. We want to argue, defend, prove, or match their intensity. But conflict with toxic people rarely leads anywhere. They're not listening to understand, they're listening to react. They're waiting for ammunition. For any slip of the tongue, they can twist and throw back at you. And when you step into that kind of conflict, you're playing on their field by their rules. That's why clarity is so powerful. It removes the fuel that keeps the fire going. Clarity isn't about long explanations. It's not about over-defending yourself or justifying every choice you make. In fact, clarity is often simple and short. It's saying what you mean without all the extra noise. It sounds like, "This doesn't work for me. I won't continue this conversation if it gets disrespectful. Here's what I need moving forward." Straightforward, calm, direct. No anger, no yelling, no matching the chaos. Just clarity. And clarity doesn't give toxic people much to grab onto. They can't twist it the way they twist arguments because there's nothing messy about it. When you choose clarity over conflict, you're choosing control over chaos. You're making the conscious decision to value resolution over reaction. And sometimes clarity means walking away when conflict is all the other person wants. Sometimes it means refusing to debate when you know the debate isn't honest. Clarity doesn't always bring agreement, but it always brings peace of mind because you know you stayed true to your boundaries without letting their behavior drag you into a fight. It takes discipline to stay clear instead of defensive. It takes practice to respond with calm words when your emotions are urging you to lash out. But clarity is where your power lies. It's what protects your peace from getting tangled in someone else's drama. And the more you use it, the more you realize how freeing it is to not get pulled into every conflict, to not spend hours replaying what you should have said, to not waste energy trying to win arguments with people who don't care about the truth. Clarity gives you that freedom, and it reminds you that you don't have to sacrifice your peace just to prove a point. Toxic people are experts at throwing out emotional bait. They know exactly what buttons to push, what words to use, and what tone will set you off. Sometimes it's a subtle comment designed to make you feel small. Other times it's loud, aggressive, and obvious. Either way, the goal is the same: to pull you into their storm, to get a reaction that proves they still have control over your emotions. And the truth is, the bait only works if you take it. If you bite, the trap is set. You're caught in the same cycle again, defending, explaining, arguing, proving, and leaving the interaction drained and frustrated. Refusing the bait doesn't mean you don't notice it. You'll hear the jab, you'll feel the sting, and you'll recognize the intention behind it. But instead of giving them what they want, you pause. You choose to respond differently. Sometimes that response is silence. Sometimes it's a calm statement that doesn't escalate. Sometimes it's walking away. What matters is that you don't let their words dictate your reaction. That's where your power is, realizing you get to decide whether their bait succeeds or fails. It's tempting to defend yourself when someone attacks your character. It's tempting to fire back when someone insults you. But toxic people don't care about truth, they care about control. When you argue, you're giving them attention, energy, and validation. When you refuse the bait, you deny them all of it. You're showing them, without even saying it, that your peace is not up for grabs. Refusing the bait also trains your mind to separate your identity from their attacks. Their words may be sharp, but they don't define you. Their accusations may be loud, but they don't reflect your reality. The moment you stop chasing their approval or defending yourself against every jab, you start reclaiming your freedom. You stop giving them the satisfaction of watching you lose control. It's not easy because everything in you wants to respond. But that pause, that choice not to take the bait, is where the real strength lies. It's choosing peace over chaos, dignity over drama, and clarity over conflict. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes to walk past the bait without ever letting it hook you. One of the biggest traps people fall into with toxic relationships is the constant chase for approval. You want them to see your side. You want them to finally understand your heart. You want them to acknowledge your effort, your love, your intentions. And every time you don't get that approval, it feels like something is missing inside of you. That's where toxic people keep you hooked, dangling the possibility of validation, but never truly giving it. And the harder you chase their approval, the further you drift from your own peace. When you start realizing that your peace is more valuable than their approval, everything begins to shift. Approval is temporary. It changes with their mood, with their agenda, with how much power they feel like giving or taking away from you. Peace is steady. Peace is yours. It doesn't depend on their opinion of you, their recognition of your worth, or their agreement with your choices. Peace is something you build and protect within yourself. The problem with chasing approval is that it puts your self-worth in someone else's hands. If they praise you, you feel good. If they criticize you, you fall apart. And when that person is toxic, they'll use that dependence to control you. They'll withhold approval when they want to punish you. They'll give you crumbs of it when they want to keep you close. It's a cycle that leaves you constantly unsettled, constantly questioning yourself, constantly seeking what they'll never freely give. Choosing peace over approval means you stop negotiating your value with people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop over-explaining, over-justifying, and overperforming to prove you're enough. You stop bending your boundaries just to earn a temporary nod of acceptance. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start caring more about your own well-being than about meeting impossible expectations. The shift happens when you remind yourself that their approval isn't the prize your peace is. Peace is waking up without dread in your chest. Peace is walking away from a conversation without carrying their negativity home with you. Peace is being able to look in the mirror and know you stayed true to yourself even if they never applauded you for it. Peace is knowing you don't need their permission to feel worthy. At the end of the day, toxic people will always exist. You can't stop them from being who they are, but you can stop them from deciding who you become. Protecting your peace isn't about winning every battle, proving every point, or fixing every relationship. It's about one powerful shift, taking back responsibility for your energy, your boundaries, and your responses. You don't owe anyone access to your peace. You don't need their approval to validate your worth, and you don't have to carry chaos that doesn't belong to you. The shift is simple, but it changes everything. You choose your peace over their patterns. You choose clarity over conflict. You choose strength over reaction. And the moment you do, you'll find that protecting your peace isn't just possible, it's powerful.